And this is with a good microphone too, like studio quality, studio grade, soundproof recording. So it was very easy. But in the future episodes, you'll see me dive into how I recorded the Quran in a microwave and had to fix it later. So it's 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 an experience. Record like you don't have to mix, and mix like you don't have to master. It's definitely one of the biggest challenges when mixing Quran because I want to make sure I'm giving every letter its right, even though I'm not the one reciting. But when I hit this master, to change lives. All right, so Bismillah walhamdulillah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you for tuning in to the first episode of the Deconstructed series here at Studio Firdaus. Today, I'm going to be breaking down exactly how I mixed, mastered, and produced Project Waqi'ah with Abdullah ibn Dawood here at Studio Firdaus. Let's get into it. All right, Bismillah. So the first thing I want to do is just show you the audio by itself with no effects. Alhamdulillah, in the studio, we had the Newman TLM49, which is a very high quality mic, my favorite personally. So the audio is already good to begin with. But from there, I want to show you how I stacked upon levels to it, if that makes sense. So let's get into it first.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إذا وقعت الواقعة.
It's just like there. Obviously, it sounds clear, fresh, crisp, but from the get-go, you can hear how the volume's not the same. In the beginning was very, very soft or quieter in comparison to when you actually started the surah. So that's one of the things you want to fix in the mix. So now we're going to get into the main vocal. And like I said, it already sounds good by itself. So there's not much to fix, but there's a lot to enhance and add levels to it, if that makes sense. So the first thing I added on to was, of course, going to be an EQ. So what an EQ does is it takes the entire waveform of the audio and allows you to manipulate the certain frequencies from the high all the way to the very, very low, boosting and cutting. So I did a cut around 6K, another cut around 4.5K-ish, another around 3, 1.5 here, 500, 300, and a boost in the bass around 100 hertz. All these are hertz. That's how we measure the frequencies in the spectrum of sound. So the human hearing goes from 20 to 20,000. So anything within that spectrum, we can hear. So we can manipulate that to our advantage or disadvantage if you suck. I kind of suck, so it's fine. Don't worry about it. So Abdullah, alhamdulillah, he had a very, very strong bass voice. So I wanted to really bring that out. So I definitely boosted the bass here about 100. And if you play it through, I'll show you what it sounds like when it's on.
ليس لوقعتها كاذبة خافضة رافعة إذا رجت الأرض رجا.
Very slight. You can almost barely hear the difference, right? But it'll come in handy when we start adding more effects on top of that. So the next thing we want to go to is a compressor. So what a compressor does is it takes the very loud parts of the audio and the very quiet parts of the audio and creates a medium, so where it's the same or it's in a dimension where it won't go from like blasting your earbuds out to I can barely hear what he's saying. So what I did here is I used the threshold here, which activates at what decibel range is the compressor going to take action. So here I have it at negative 19.7. So 0 decibels is the max. Like that's the loudest you ever want to have it whenever you're doing anything with sound. You don't want to exceed the 0 decibels. The human hearing goes way beyond that, but as far as what we're doing right here, 0 is the max. So everything from 19 down is going to attack. And how hard it's going to attack that is the ratio. And the ratio I have at 3, and it goes all the way to 10. So it's not too heavy, but it's strong enough to really bite. And the attack is how quickly the compressor activates. I want it pretty fast. In general, you want your attack to be fast. And then for the release, how it deactivates, how quickly. So when it releases from that threshold, how long is it going to take to deactivate itself? And I want it to be slow. Because again, I want that consistency in the sound. I don't want it to be too loud for too long, too quiet for too long. And I want the loud and quiet bits to actually meet in the middle and be consistent. And then we have the drive, it's distortion. We don't really need that for Quran because you don't want to I don't gotta explain that. So, and then the makeup gain, which is like boosting extra from what you already did. So when you compress, it tends to quiet it in and of itself because as I said, you're taking the very, very loud pieces of the vocal and bringing it down. But you're also taking the quiet pieces and boosting them up. But that creates a ceiling. So with that ceiling, you want to take everything that you make quiet, even though it's together now, and just bring it up in unison. But I didn't really want to do that because it was good enough the hardware we had in the studio gave enough gain, which is the volume in and of itself. So I didn't have to boost too much. So I had to take it down a little bit. Actually, I think I had like negative 2.7. Yeah, I took a little bit down. The mix 100, we want all of the compressor working at once. If I were to bring it down to percentages, it'll do a fraction of the full capacity of what the compressor could do. So I want everything in there. So now let's play it again and add the compressor. You'll see the difference.
وبست الجبال بسا فكانت هباء منبثا وكنتم أزواجا ثلاثة.
Yeah, just like that, you can hear a difference. Like as soon as I turned it on, everything got quieter, but it got in unison. And when I turned it off, you could hear like it's natural. Like some things are louder, some things are more quiet. But when the listener is trying to like enjoy the experience, you want it to be unison. So you're not actually constantly hitting the volume button on your phone or in your car with the radio going like, okay, well, this is getting loud, this is getting quiet. It's not fun. The next plugin I use, it's like, I really love this. It's a saturation type of plugin. What saturation does is a form of distortion. And then we have the drive, it's distortion. We don't really need that for Quran because you don't want to like, and so it gives the best way I can describe it is a warm feeling to it and creates tone and texture. And this plugin, Black Box by, I believe, Brainworks, yeah, very, very good. I love this. It has 3 versions of this plugin, and every single one of them I love. But this one I use specifically because it's the most condensed form of it, and I just need a little bit of saturation, so I turned it up 30%. Pentode, I'm not gonna lie to you. I don't know what that means or what it does, but it sounded nice, so I switched it on. Same thing with the tritode. I probably should know that. I feel like a fake engineer, but it's okay. The frequencies, low. We're gonna attack those low frequencies because like I said, Abdullah has a nice voice, but it's very bass heavy. We need that. I turn up the air amount to offset that so it's not drowning out. We'll still get that nice sparkle at the top end. So I increased that to about 31%. And I'm gonna turn that on now so you can hear what it sounds like.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إذا وقعت الواقعة ليس لوقعتها كاذبة.
Very slight. Like I said, everything we're doing is very minimal in and of itself, but when it gets all together, it's gonna be nice. And the last thing I got here, a de-esser. So that's and sounds that come out of your mouth, those pushes of air, when it hits the microphone, it can create lots of problems, especially depending on how your processing chain is. So if you have a really heavy, compressed, and distorted chain, for whatever reason, it's fine. Like you can use a bunch of different tactics to whatever you're mixing. When those are introduced to that sound chain, it can like blow your eardrums out, and it's a very, very annoying to deal with, especially with headphone users because, in general, they can be very painful to listen to, and those usually take place from the 4K hertz range up, and especially towards like the 10K range, and they can get like painful to listen to. So you don't want that. So basically, what I did is this plugin cuts that out. Iosis, I love this one a lot. My favorite de-esser. Was this from Slate Digital, I believe? Yeah. So sensitivity. How sensitive is it? 65%. Not crazy, not little either. All right, the amount. So how much are we taking away from the S sounds? Because I don't want to take everything out, because especially with the Quran, because if you take that out, you're changing the Quran. That's not okay, because those sounds are a part of it. They're a part of the way you recite it. So dampening it a little bit, but making sure that it's still present is huge. It's definitely one of the biggest challenges when mixing Quran, because I want to make sure I'm giving every letter its right, even though I'm not the one reciting. I smoothed it out down here, 62%, not bad. And you'll hear the difference, inshallah. Let's go.
خافضة رافعة
You can see it biting here.
إذا رجت الأرض رجا وبست الجبال بسا.
And every one of those yellow lines is what is attacking it. And yeah, so now we're gonna get to the fun part. This is the reverb that I use. And this reverb was different. So I called it the ghost reverb because it sounded like a ghost. I don't know what to tell you. So how I broke it down, boom. First of all, what is reverb? Reverb is just the reverberation of all the sounds, whatever is playing in the channel. So basically, it just repeats it over and over and over again, like bouncing across the wall. And with that bouncing across the wall, you can construct how big that room is and control how those sounds are bouncing across each wall and how. That's like the basis of it. Um, and here you don't want any of the low frequencies doing that. So I did a low cut here around 160 hertz. So I don't want any of the bass bouncing around because that's not what I want. I want the high parts to be moving around, but not the high, too high parts. So around 5,000 hertz, I cut it down because I didn't want anything too crazy going on over there. And what is this? A delay. So I put delay first, then reverb. And mind you, everything in this chain here, its order matters. So I can't just like put this however I want. Like the way it is, the top affects what's beneath it, what's beneath what's beneath it. So it's a chain, literally a chain. So just because you have these on a mixer does not mean it's gonna come out the way you want it to come out if you don't understand how you stack them up. So delay is always gonna come before the reverb. Always, for the most part. I mean, you can do whatever you want, but if you want it to sound nice, just do that. For the delay time, I have it on 2. In general, I put it on 3, but for this, I wanted it tighter. So I put it on 2. And this is very, very important. You'll see why. And then for the reverb here, Valhalla Vintage Reverb. Love this. Nolan. This is the sauce right here. Nolan. This is the only preset, or mode I should say, on this that I know that can make this happen. This attack knob here. Nolan mode only. 100%. Put it all the way up. This will give you the effect that you want. And it's very subtle. Like if you haven't heard it in the recitation itself, you'll hear it now when I'm pointing it out to you. And then a limiter. Huge. So basically what this does is it takes the input from the main vocal channel and see it's tied down here. We put it in here, boom. All right, so the signal's going in. So with that signal, this catches it. So when the main vocal is playing, the reverb gets quieter. And when it's not playing, the reverb just expands out. This goes crazy. So it'll give you the feeling of having that spaciousness, but at the same time, you can focus on what's being said when it's being said and still get that atmosphere, which is key. If not, it's just gonna drown everything out. It's gonna sound disgusting. I don't want that. And you have this spreader. I think this is like a native to FL Studio in and of itself, which is the program I use to mix this stuff. So it just comes with the program. I just turn the spread all the way up. Separation to the left a little bit. Low bypass to make sure I don't get any of those low muddy sounds in there. This is also slate digital, yes. So there's a plugin. Can I have stereo, please? I don't name these presets, bro. I don't claim them. But this is what I used. If I sat down for like 30 minutes, I could like maybe figure out what that means, but I guess I'm not doing that. So this is what it sounds like with the reverb.
فكانت هباء منبثا وكنتم أزواجا ثلاثة فأصحاب.
Do you hear that? It kind of like reverses back into itself and then releases. And you'll hear it better in the beginning because the eyes are kind of shorter, so you can like kind of hear how it just plays into it.
إذا وقعت الواقعة ليس لوقعتها كاذبة.
You see, it's like has a like kind of like chorus to it, so it's kind of cool. And now to the main reverb. And for the reverb here, I had it at 2. I know I said 3 was better, but you have to match them. I can have a reverb with the delay of 2 and a reverb with the delay of 3. It'll be like swimming in like a soup of mess. You'll listen to that and you just want to like turn it off, bro. So I'm not doing that. Reverb, Valhalla Vintage, Concert Hall, Decay, not too heavy. It goes high, like 42 seconds. It's a lot, bro. So I'm taking it down, but I messed it up. I don't care. It'll be right. You listen to it fine. Low cut, same thing, around 300, like I said before. High cut, stopped it at 10. The high parts, don't really need all that. Depth is bigger, as you can see. Size is huge. And then we go to the limiter. Same John's gonna tuck it in as it plays, and this time I'm gonna watch. You'll see better on this screen as it goes. So, and you can actually hear how both reverbs play into each other. So I'm just gonna go back to here because you can hear it a lot better. Bring up this limiter again. Whoa. All right, bismillah.
إذا وقعت الواقعة ليس لوقعتها كاذبة خافضة رافعة إذا
You see how the purple here? That's the reverb. That space the purple is how much is being taken down. And then when the white is all there, that's reverb. That's the reverb just going out and just letting the fill the space. Shadow Hills is probably my favorite mastering plugin of all time, next to Isotope Ozone. So basically, this is a massive compressor. And we talked about compression earlier with the main vocal here. You can see the parameters, very simple, simplistic design here. Threshold, ratio, attack, release, drive, gain, boom. This looks like, oh my God, what am I doing? It's not that complex. It's the same parameters. The UI looks different, more advanced, all mashallah, but still, like, it's the same concepts. And if you understand how to use the plugin, you can understand how to do this. So basically, we're just dumbed it all down to these 5 knobs and a little bit in the ear. I'm not gonna get into it, but right now, but here, threshold, boom, right there. Attack, boom, attack here. Release, recover, ratio, boom. Move it over, gain, same thing right here. Same principles. It's not, don't be intimidated so much by the way it looks, but how you use it is obviously more important. So here I have the ratio at 3, right in the middle. A little heavy, but it's good because I really want to make sure everything gets powerful impact here. And when it all comes together, you'll hear how it just like kind of boosts everything. Discrete gain, I boosted that John a lot. It's at like 20 decibels. And we're using steel mode, which is focusing on the low frequencies. Because like I said, Abdullah has a very nice bass voice, alhamdulillah. So that's what we're using. Discrete's in, optical's still in. I haven't really changed much, but it's not going to do anything too crazy. Sidechain in. This, don't worry about that. Parallel mix, basically this is the mix here, how much is going to be used. It's at 100%. I'm using all that, John. We need all of it. And now we're doubling it up. So here we have another Shadow Hills mastering compressor. And besides this project here, which only has 1 compressor in the chain for any mix bus, I always strive for 2. Because I want 1 compressor doing majority of the work and the other compressor picking up the back end. I don't really want 1 compressor doing everything unless the audio is good enough as it is by itself. Because like I said, record like you don't have to mix and mix like you don't have to master. And here I have the Ulian loudness meter. So basically this doesn't really do anything. It just gives me a graph to see, okay, how loud actually is my project. So here I have it. Well, when it's playing, you'll see it render. But you, in general, between 11, -11, -14 LUFs, that's peak. That's what we wanted to hit. That's where it's going to be loud enough where it's competitive. And what is a competitive loudness? When you're listening on any app, any platform, anything at all, and you hear an audio that's loud, boom, structured, solid, vibrant, dynamic, it's cool. And the next thing that plays later is soft, it's weak, it's not powerful, it's muddy, it turns you off. And you don't even get a chance to listen to what actually is going on because you don't even want to listen to it anymore. It's just so weak compared to the other thing that was just playing that it doesn't even want to pique your attention. So it doesn't even matter how good what's actually being recited is. It just turns you off. So to avoid that, you want to make sure you're hitting at the same competitive loudness. So no matter what comes before or after what's being played, the listener is not enticed to swipe away or just to not want to listen around and figure out why how could they get benefit or stick around to listening to it. So you'll see this hit as I hit the master. I'm turning it off, and I want you to listen to how this just brings everything to life. It's gonna sound quiet. In general, it always will be, but when I hit this master, to change lives. All right, so here we go.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. إذا وقعت الواقعة ليس لوقعتها كاذبة خافضة رافعة إذا رجت الأرض رجا وبست الجبال بسا فكانت هباء منبثا وكنتم أزواجا ثلاثة.
And just like that, everything I was talking about before just becomes apparent. The ghost reverb, you hear it way more if you were paying attention to it to begin with, and everything just congeals and then just goes crazy. Alhamdulillah, I love it a lot. So, mastering, get to know it. So, quick summary: main vocal, EQ, compressor, saturation, de-esser, ghost reverb, EQ, Haas, delay, reverb, limiter, spreader, regular reverb, EQ, delay, reverb, limiter, master channel, EQ, compressor. That is it. Keep it as simplistic as possible. Adding more things to a channel does not make you a better engineer. It just wastes your CPU, adds more problems that you didn't need to fix to begin with, and it doesn't make you look like you know what you're doing. It just kind of takes away from it. Simplicity is key. It's do what is needed, not just whatever you feel like. It'll make your life so much easier. And basically, that's how I made Project Waqi'ah. And the same effects were used for everything. So up here, I have like Special Zalzala here from the project as well. Here, same thing. Make sure everything's on still. Yeah.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. إذا زلزلت الأرض زلزالها وأخرجت
Yeah, same thing. Alhamdulillah. So thank you for tuning in to the Deconstructed series here at Studio Firdaus. I'll see you next time, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. إذا زلزلت الأرض زلزالها وأخرجت الأرض أثقالها وقال الإنسان ما لها يومئذ تحدث أخبارها بأن ربك أوحي لها يومئذ يصدر الناس أشتاتا ليروا أعمالهم فمن يعمل مثقال ذرة خيرا يره ومن يعمل مثقال ذرة شرا يره.